kind of way. It's a different kind of way. Madness place on earth is SPJ. They could never take this vibe away. It's once a topic flag and vegan. When we run up we are coming down like an invasion. When you see the fire just the way burning up pagan. Everybody jumping up is a standing ovation. Cause it went a different kind of way. Madness place on earth is SPJ. They could never take we vibe away. Yes, it felt a different kind of way. Madness place on earth is SPJ.
WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Rise and shine. Let's get ready to take on the day. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
It's another day of Activated Mornings with Roleza and Dianna and PeeJohn, because we already have PeeJohn on the line to give us his usual morning commentary. So good morning to all of our listeners, and PeeJohn, good morning to you.
Good morning, Dianna, and good morning, Roleza. My question is, how should Vincentians treat the passing of Pope Francis? You just read it in your newscast a while ago. Sometime yesterday, the Vatican announced the passing of the Pope, who is the head of the Catholic Church. Reactions to the news, as far as I could tell, were mixed. Some expressed sympathy, others appeared to show glee, and there are those who were downright indifferent. It mattered not to them one way or the other. To me, the Pope was a significant world figure with over 1 billion followers. We should therefore pause for a moment to reflect on what he meant to humanity. According to one source, in a world marked by division, inequality, and indifference, Pope Francis was a voice of conscience and compassion. He has been described as humble, grounded, and fiercely devoted to service. When he became the 266th Pope in 2013, the world met not only the first Jesuit and Latin American Pope, but also a man said to be deeply committed to building bridges instead of walls. Born Jorge Mario Bergoglio, he chose the name Francis to honor the Saint Francis of Assisi, who embraced poverty and peace and lived it. He rejected luxury, rode in simple cars, and called on the church to be a field hospital, tending to wounds rather than guarding doctrine. He reminded us that the gospel is not a fortress to be defended, but a light to be shared with those in the shadows. Whether washing the feet of prisoners, embracing refugees, or speaking boldly on climate change and economic injustice, Pope Francis called the world to conscience. His voice was not always easy to hear, but it was necessary. He reminded us that mercy must triumph over judgment, that creation must be protected, and that faith must be lived not just in temples but on the streets. He led not by might but by example. Pope Francis will be remembered not just as a religious leader, but as a global moral force, one who believed that love is the purest form, in its purest form, can transform hearts, societies, and even history. So in remembering him, the church is called upon to continue the work he began, to care for one another, especially the least among us, and walk humbly in service and solidarity. I end by taking this opportunity to extend my condolences to the Catholic community of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And that's my rant for the day.
All right, then. Thank you.
The obvious question to me is, am I a Catholic? Well,
Are you?
That's a
I
significant pause, PeeJohn.
I went to a Catholic school. I taught at a Catholic school. All my children are Christian Catholic.
But you're not Catholic.
Well,
Or you're not practicing Catholic.
not a practicing Catholic.
Okay.
All right. All the best.
All right. Thanks, PeeJohn.
It is another Tuesday morning right here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and wherever in the world that it is Tuesday today as well. This is Activated Mornings with Roleza and Dianna. We're back like we'd never left. That's probably because we didn't. But we're here to bring you more vibes from now until 10 o'clock this morning. This is our talk segment. You can always call to be a part of our talk segment, 457-9997. All right? But before we start discussing, what PeeJohn just brought up, Roleza, morning to you.
Morning, Dianna. And how was your weekend?
So long and dreary, and I'm so happy to be back at work. I just wanted to get.
Serious?
I know for the first time in my life, I just really wanted.
You could have worked my shift yesterday, then.
I could have come and I could have.
Okay.
I just got sick of being in the house and wanted to get out. So
But you have a whole beach right there.
Yeah, but the beach was full of people, and I don't like beach when there's a lot of people on it. If I don't get out of my house by 9 o'clock in the morning to go to the beach, I'm not going again because it's gonna be full of people, and I'd want the beach to myself.
So this is why you were saying that you are driving out yesterday. So yesterday in the middle of my shift, folks, right? Dianna is to message and say how she wants to ride out, and I had to say it's always the non-drivers them who want to be riding out, because once you turn a driver, you would understand we don't always want to be driving out like that. But anyhow. Aww. So Dianna has mentioned how her weekend was. I am trusting that most of you had a better weekend than Dianna did, all right? I think it's interesting because you could find things around the house to do. I mean, not necessarily housework, but I think for long weekends, you kind of have to prep yourself. If you know that you're not going out, find something that's going to occupy your time.
I thought I was prepped, and I just found myself over the weekend like, wow, it's not finishing. I don't know what to do. And I did plan to go to the beach, but then I think I was doing some things and the time went by. I know I wasn't going on Monday because I figured people were going to be there. And Sunday morning, I wasn't ready before 9 o'clock. So after that, I decided I wasn't going to go.
So your son had an extremely boring weekend.
He's not with me. He's by my mother.
Oh, that's why you're. But listen, if you by yourself, then is when you're supposed to be happy, the happiest.
Usually I am, but for some reason this weekend, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Something about this long weekend just had my.
Oh Lord, I'm sure that many of us can't relate to what Dianna was saying because some of us could do it the extra couple of days, right? Although I worked yesterday, but still, Friday was a day off for me. Anyway, folks, good morning to everybody. Yes, it's back to school, it's back to work, it's back to normal life for most of us. All right, so I trust that everybody had a great weekend, that you got many things done. If you needed to rest, that you got some rest in. Whatever it was, for those of you who do actually recognize and celebrate the Easter weekend in the religious sense, that you had that good fellowship amongst your fellow church persons. All right. So just want to say as well, before I forget, because I generally we tend to forget. So good morning to the persons on the live. Good morning to Jacqueline. Good morning to Trevor and those persons who we shouted up earlier. But Mary in particular, Mary Williams is sending good morning greetings to Anita, Mr. Weeks, and Gary Young, and to Kingsley. All right. So just good morning to everybody who's listening to us at this time. And special good morning to the folks, the Vincentians who went over to the Barbados for the Vibes Cartel show. I ain't seen no status post saying how the show was great, no nothing, right? For the people them who I know who went over, I will be checking in with you today because I ain't seen no post at all go up. So yes, Vinci's who made their way to BIM over the weekend, Sunday in particular. How was the show? All right, let me know how was this show.
Must be real
all up in people's business, but yeah.
I saw one single post, and that was from STV Online. Just one with the crowd. It was a good bit of people there.
But how was the show?
Yeah, but I didn't even see Cartel or any video, any clips of any performance or anything.
So I want to know how was this show. All right, so yeah.
All right, then let's get into the topic. PeeJohn said, "How should Vincentians treat the passing of the Pope?" To answer that question specifically, they should treat it however they see fit. So the Catholics will mourn. Obviously, they'll have whatever they're going to have for the Pope. Then that's, it's okay for them to do that. If you're not a Catholic and you don't practice anything of the Catholics and you probably weren't into the following of the Pope and you don't feel the need to mourn his passing or anything like that, then I think you have the right to do that. If you want to mourn, you mourn, and if you don't feel like mourning, you don't feel like mourning. Because to be very honest with you, I didn't even realize the Pope had died. I saw, must have been some status yesterday, and I was like, what? The last news I heard was that he was in the hospital, I think, when he was released. I didn't realize he had died. And honestly, I haven't been following the Pope that much over these years. I know about Pope and them living in the Vatican over there and so on. And I knew Pope Francis existed and he was there. And I thank PeeJohn for some of the things that he said here this morning, because I was just learning about those things for the first time. It seems as though he was a decent man. It seems as though he was a good man with some of the, I like some of those things that he promoted. I really do. But I am not mourning the loss of the Pope. I would not be mourning the loss of the Pope. I read the news. Well, I saw the status. The Pope has died. Okay, cool. I read the news. He has died. They're going to have their mourning or whatever celebration. And that is it for me. I don't feel anything. Yeah.
Well, it's fair for you to not feel a connection because you're not Catholic. I am also, I was Christian Catholic, but I am not a practicing Catholic. Similar to PeeJohn, I went to a Catholic school. I taught at a Catholic school, but that was the extent of it, really. The thing with Pope Francis is, from a lot of the accounts that we got, was that he was a very humble individual. He did not want to take part, even in the garments that were previously worn, in terms of the type of material and what's the word I was looking for? The more expensive garments. He revoked those. He wanted simple garments, right? Another thing that was also said about him is that he could have lived in a different apartment, something a bit more luxurious, etc. But he denounced that. He also drove around in a very simple car. So one of the things that many persons did appreciate about him is his humility. There was something I was looking at from the news yesterday, and I know that he was in the news, in a sense, in a controversial aspect when it came to his stance on homosexuals, right? And one of the reports that I was looking at yesterday, it really stood out for me, where he was saying that homosexuals, what they do is a sin, but what they do should not be criminal. And if you look at the laws that we have, many of our laws that relate to homosexuality have criminalized the act, right? And interestingly, that would have come from religious teachings from back then. So I always thought that it was interesting in terms of his stance when it came to homosexuality. And he himself said, "Who am I to judge?" Right? He turned around, he said, "Who am I to judge?" So I always think that, his stance in relation to homosexuality was interesting. Now, for me, I think after Pope John Paul II, the whole quote-unquote rock star image and I'm using the rock star image in the sense of the popularity of being out there in the media, it wasn't quite the same for the popes who followed, because I think many of us growing up would have known of Pope John Paul II in terms of his image being out there, etc.
Sorry to cut you off there, but as you're talking, I remember one of the things I note is that there was a lot I didn't know about Pope Francis, to the fact that I was completely oblivious. To the fact that I was oblivious that he is there. But I remember hearing a lot about those before him. I was always bombarded with some sort of information. I was always aware that Pope this, Pope that. But for this one, it was a lot quieter. Which and I like his humility.
I think he was actually a little bit more known than the Pope before him, which was, because I even had to just double check quickly to see who was before him, which was Pope Benedict, right? But the thing of it is that for Catholics, they would be mourning the loss of Pope Francis, but I'm not sure for the rest of us, and even for myself, I'm a little bit indifferent. He is a man like all of us. He was at the age of 88 when I heard that he got sick. I just knew it was going to happen at any point in time. All right. I just think it's interesting. The day that he died, which was Easter Monday. All right. So that whole religious time, and if you really want to tie in all of these things, you probably can. But yeah, he was human like the rest of us, you know, so he might have just been a little better, possibly. I didn't know him in a one-on-one context, but from what is being relayed in the media, he's human like the rest of us. So to all the Catholics, our condolences on his passing. Yeah, that's it.
And it is 7:34, just a couple seconds from 7:35, and we have to head into our traffic talk. So if you have any comments or questions on this particular topic, we're going to have to take it up in another talk segment. We are heading into traffic talk.